Hello everyone, and welcome back to ANS Vlogs. This is part 2 of our Royal Saskatchewan Museum walking tour here, in Regina. In part 1, we traveled through Saskatchewan's living environments, and then went millions of years into the past. We saw Saskatchewan's ecoregions. We saw birds and wildlife. We traveled from the prairie to the Arctic and tropical rainforest. Then we entered the ancient world of mammals, mammoths, giant bison, and the Ice Age. Now we are going to continue our journey, but this time, we are going to explore something different. We are going into the Indigenous Gallery. The Royal Saskatchewan Museum describes this gallery as an exploration of the histories and traditions of Indigenous societies living in Saskatchewan, including their relationship with the land over approximately 10,000 years. So let's begin. One, First Nations or Indigenous Gallery. As we enter the gallery, one of the first things we notice is that this isn't simply a collection of old objects. The gallery is about people, communities, relationships, knowledge, traditions, and the land. The museum also makes an important point. Indigenous societies are diverse. Different First Nations have their own designs, colors, histories, and cultural practices. So as we walk through this gallery, we should remember that we are not looking at one single Indigenous culture. We are seeing many histories and traditions. 2. Sacred Place. Now we are entering the area that introduces ideas about sacred places and relationships. The museum presents a worldview in which humans are part of a larger community that includes rocks, plants, animals, and other beings. That is a very different way of thinking about the environment from simply seeing nature as a collection of resources. It encourages us to think about responsibility, respect, and relationships. 3. Material culture. Now we're looking at material culture. These are objects made and used by people. Clothing, tools, containers, decorative objects. Every object has a story. It can tell us about technology. It can tell us about available materials. And it can tell us about the people who made and used it. The museum explains that different First Nations have their own designs and colors used on clothing, teepees, containers, and utensils. Eagle. Now we are seeing the spirit eagle. The eagle has important spiritual and cultural meanings in many Indigenous traditions, although those meanings can differ among nations. This display gives us an opportunity to think about the relationship between humans and animals. 5. Ceremonies. The section about ceremonies. Ceremonies can connect people with spirituality, community, history, and the natural world. And these traditions aren't simply something from the distant past. Many Indigenous traditions continue today. Men's traditional powwow dance outfit. Now we are looking at a traditional men's powwow dance outfit. Look closely at the details. Powwow dancing has roots in older traditional dances. The museum explains that men historically danced after returning from hunting or warfare to announce and display achievements. Today, powwow dancing can express identity, gratitude, joy, and connection with Indigenous heritage. 7. Horse racing and games. Horses dramatically changed life across the plains. They transformed travel, hunting, and transportation. Games also had an important place in community life. They provided entertainment and helped people develop physical and social skills. Dancing and the round dance. Now we are looking at dancing, and here we have the round dance. The circle is an important symbol of community and togetherness. The museum explains that women's traditional dancing around the dance circle has been connected with the life cycle of Earth. Modern powwow dancing continues to express identity, gratitude, heritage, and community. 9. Toys. This is a reminder that children have always learned through play. Toys can imitate adult activities, they can teach skills, and they can help children understand their community and environment. 10. Beaded moose hide jacket. Now we are looking at this beautifully decorated beaded moose hide jacket. Look at the craftsmanship. The beadwork takes patience and skill, and objects like this can communicate identity, creativity, and cultural knowledge. They are also examples of knowledge being passed between generations. 11. The storyteller. Storytelling is incredibly important. Stories can preserve history, they can teach, they can explain, they can entertain, and they can communicate values from one generation to the next. The museum explains that some stories can be told at any time, while many traditional stories are reserved for winter. 12. Spirit of the people. This brings together ideas of identity, community, and relationships. And then we encounter 13. Grandfather Rock. This display reminds us that rocks, plants, animals, and people can all be understood as part of a larger community. It's an important reminder that Indigenous relationships with the land are not simply about using natural resources. They involve responsibility and respect. 14. Bison. Food and provider. Now we come to the bison. This is one of the most important animals in the history of the plains. The museum explains that bison provided Indigenous peoples with food, clothing, shelter, and tools, and played a central role in ceremonies and beliefs. Almost every part of the animal could be used. Meat could be preserved, hides could become clothing and shelter, bones could become tools, horns and hooves could be processed into useful materials, head could be twisted into rope. This was an incredibly comprehensive relationship between people and the animal. 15. Caribou. The museum explains that people first moved into northern Saskatchewan approximately 8,500 years ago, and that barren ground caribou have been important to northern Indigenous peoples ever since. Even the animal's hay is useful. The hays are hollow, making them excellent insulation. This is another example of people developing detailed knowledge about the animals around them. 16. Moose, the provider. Moose have long been important to Indigenous peoples in northern Saskatchewan. Before firearms, hunters used bows and arrows and other methods. Today, hunting traditions have changed with modern technology, but the moose remains an important source of food. The museum notes that traditional hunters may also pray and make offerings acknowledging the sacrifice of the animal. 17. Tools of the trade in winter fishing. Tools were created from materials available in the environment. Stone, bone, wood, hide, sinew. Each material had particular strengths. And now we are approaching the winter fishing display. Fishing was particularly important during seasonal periods when other foods could be scarce. People developed techniques for catching and preserving fish. 18. Fishing in the Qu'Appelle Valley. Now we are looking at fishing in the Qu'Appelle Valley approximately 1,500 years ago. The valley provided access to water and fish. Indigenous peoples developed sophisticated techniques for catching fish, including weirs and traps. The museum explains that barriers could direct fish toward narrow openings where they could be caught in nets, baskets, or traps. This is another example of how closely people understood the environment. 19. AD 1700 and AD 1800. Now the timeline moves toward the 1700s and 1800s. This was a period of tremendous change across the plains. Trade networks expanded. Horses became increasingly important. European manufactured goods entered Indigenous communities. And relationships between Indigenous peoples and the Canadian government became increasingly significant.
Let me give you a kiss goodbye. The land has always supported and the children have always been taught about our connection to and relationship with nature.
Jacobson Bay Pot. Now we are approaching the Jacobson Bay Pot. Archaeological pottery is fascinating because an ordinary object can preserve information about people who lived hundreds or thousands of years ago. The shape tells us about function. The material tells us about technology. Decoration can tell us about artistic traditions. And archaeological context can help scientists understand how an object was used. And this is where something really special happened during our filming. While we were casually recording this pottery display, 3 young visitors approached me. They wanted to be part of our YouTube video. Their parents allowed them to participate. And I want to take this moment to say, thank you very much. Kiddos, our channel is still new and we are growing. But moments like this are what make traveling and filming so enjoyable. We meet people, we discover places, and sometimes, people become part of the story. So to everyone watching right now, if you enjoy our adventures, please consider subscribing to ANS Vlogs and following our Facebook page. We are sharing travel videos, life updates, events, places we visit, food experiences, hotels, motels, and other interesting things along the way. And to our young museum friends, thank you for joining us. And thank you to your parents for allowing you to participate. Keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe someday you'll become creators yourselves. The world is enormous. There are so many places to visit, so many things to learn, so many stories to tell. Don't limit yourselves. Maybe one day we'll cross paths again. Pottery chronology display. This lets us see how pottery changed through time. Archaeologists can learn about technology, trade, lifestyle, and artistic traditions from pottery. Using the pot display. Now we are seeing how pots were actually used. Cooking, storage, food preparation, water, everyday life. It's fascinating because something as simple as a pot can tell us so much about a society. This area is called the transportation, past and present. Now we are looking at transportation. People have always needed to move, but the methods changed dramatically. Walking, canoes, horses, sleds, and eventually automobiles, trains, and airplanes. The technology changes, but the need to travel remains. North Dakota display window. Now we are looking at the North Dakota section. And this reminds us that Indigenous cultural and trade networks did not stop at today's international borders. The plains were interconnected. People traveled. They traded. They exchanged knowledge. They maintained relationships. Modern borders are relatively recent compared with the much older history of these communities. Trade section. Trade became increasingly important as European goods entered Indigenous communities. New materials and technologies became available. But Indigenous peoples didn't simply stop using their traditional knowledge. They adapted. They incorporated new materials. And they continued many established cultural practices. The treaty metals. Now we are looking at treaty metals. And this takes us into one of the most important historical sections of the gallery. Treaties. Treaty 4 was signed in 1874. The museum presents this relationship from an Indigenous perspective. And the treaty relationship continues today. We Are All Treaty People Gallery Area. That title itself is powerful. The museum explains that Treaty 4 established a relationship between Indigenous peoples and the Government of Canada. The museum describes that relationship as one intended to endure as long as the sun shines, the rivers flow, and the grasses grow. This isn't simply a history lesson. It is a reminder that treaties continue to shape life in Saskatchewan today. Chief Paskwa Pictograph. Now we are looking at the Chief Paskwa Pictograph. This is an exceptionally significant historical record. The Royal Saskatchewan Museum identifies it as Canada's only known written record of treaty promises from an Indigenous perspective. That's what makes this display so powerful. Historical records aren't always written from the same perspective. This pictograph provides an Indigenous perspective on the treaty relationship. We built this gallery together. This is an important idea. When museums present Indigenous histories, Indigenous voices, and perspectives matter. A gallery about Indigenous peoples should involve Indigenous knowledge and participation. And that brings our Indigenous gallery journey to an end. But we are not finished yet, because now we are heading to one of the museum's biggest attractions. Scotty the T-Rex, the main event. And here we are again. Scotty. This time we are seeing the main CN T-Rex gallery. The Royal Saskatchewan Museum describes Scotty as the world's largest and most massive T-Rex. Scotty was discovered in Saskatchewan's Frenchman River Valley in 1991. His remains were extremely difficult to remove from the surrounding rock. Much of the excavation was completed by hand. After more than 2 decades of work, the skeleton was approximately 65% complete. And the gallery doesn't just show the skeleton. It tells Scotty's story. We can learn about the environment in which Scotty lived. We can see fossils from the same quarry. We can learn about Scotty's injuries. And the gallery even recreates the roar of a T-Rex. So take a moment and really look at this animal. The skull, the teeth, the spine, the ribs, the massive legs, and those tiny arms. This is an animal that lived more than 65 million years ago. And today, its fossilized remains are helping scientists understand Saskatchewan's ancient past. But there's even more to Scotty's story than his incredible size. Scotty was not a young T-Rex when he died. By studying growth patterns preserved inside his bones, scientists estimated that he was more than 30 years old, making him an exceptionally old T-Rex. And his enormous size wasn't simply about being tall. Scotty is particularly famous for his incredible body mass. Scientists have estimated that he weighed around 8,800 kilograms when he was alive, roughly the weight of several large vehicles. His skull gives us another glimpse into just how powerful this predator was. Look closely at those massive jaws and thick teeth. T-Rex had a skull built to withstand tremendous forces. allowing it to grip, tear and process the bodies of other animals. But Scotty's skeleton also tells us something more personal about his life. Some of his bones preserve evidence of injuries he suffered while he was alive, and when an injury shows signs of healing, it tells scientists something remarkable. Scotty survived the injury long enough for his body to begin repairing the damaged bone. So this skeleton isn't simply a collection of ancient bones. It's a record of an individual animal's life. Scotty also takes us back to a Saskatchewan that would be almost unrecognizable today. More than 65 million years ago, this region had a much warmer climate and was part of a very different prehistoric landscape. The Western Interior Seaway was still influencing the geography and ecosystems of Western North America, and rivers, floodplains, and coastal environments supported a completely different community of plants and animals. And that's what makes this exhibit so incredible. We are not just looking at a dinosaur. We are looking at a window into an entire ecosystem that disappeared millions of years ago. Scotty lived near the very end of the age of dinosaurs. Only a few million years after animals like Scotty disappeared, the asteroid impact that ended the reign of the non-avian dinosaurs would transform life on Earth forever. Today, this remarkable fossil gives Saskatchewan a connection to that extraordinary final chapter of dinosaur history. And standing here beneath this enormous skeleton, it's hard not to imagine what it must have been like to see a living Tyrannosaurus Rex moving through this ancient landscape. Saskatchewan moves north. Now we are looking at Saskatchewan moves north. This display reminds us that continents move. The land beneath our feet hasn't always been located where it is today. Over geological time, Saskatchewan has experienced enormous changes in latitude, climate, and environment. That helps explain why we can find evidence of tropical environments, ancient seas, dinosaurs, and ice age landscapes all within the same province. Inland Sea. Now we are moving into the Inland Sea display. This is one of the most surprising parts of Saskatchewan's geological history. During the Cretaceous period, a huge shallow inland sea covered much of central North America. That means that parts of Saskatchewan that are prairie today were once beneath seawater. And that's why we can find marine fossils here, sea monsters and dinosaurs. And this is where the ancient inland sea really comes alive. One of the spectacular marine reptiles represented here is the mosasaur. Mosasaurs were enormous marine reptiles related to mudden lizards. They had powerful jaws and streamlined bodies adapted for life in the ocean. The museum's educational material also points visitors toward marine reptiles such as mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, and explains how they reconstructed color patterns as scientific interpretations based partly on modern marine animals. So these aren't simply imaginary monsters. They are reconstructions based on fossil evidence. Age of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs dominated terrestrial ecosystems for an enormous span of geological time, and Saskatchewan preserves evidence of this ancient world. There were herbivorous dinosaurs, carnivorous dinosaurs, marine reptiles, plants, and countless smaller organisms. Every fossil adds another piece to the puzzle, and that's why we can find marine fossils here. Age of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs dominated terrestrial ecosystems for an enormous span of geological time, and Saskatchewan preserves evidence of this ancient world. There were herbivorous dinosaurs, carnivorous dinosaurs, marine reptiles, plants, and countless smaller organisms. Every fossil adds another piece to the puzzle, and that's why we can find marine fossils here. Saskatchewan fossil finds. Now we are moving into Saskatchewan's fossil discoveries. This is where the whole museum begins to come together. Saskatchewan isn't just famous for one fossil. The province has an extraordinary record of ancient life. Dinosaurs, marine reptiles, plants, ancient mammals, ice age giants, and much more. Scientists use these fossils to reconstruct Saskatchewan's history. Dinosaur extinction. And now we reach the dinosaur extinction. Approximately 66 million years ago, the non-avian dinosaurs disappeared. Tyrannosaurus rex disappeared. Triceratops disappeared. Many other dinosaur species disappeared. But here's something incredible. Birds survived. Birds are living dinosaurs. So technically, the dinosaur story didn't completely end. It continued in the birds we see today. The museum's own educational material emphasizes that avian dinosaurs, birds, are the surviving dinosaur lineage. Saskatchewan after the dinosaurs. Now we are moving into Saskatchewan after the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are gone, but life continues. Mammals diversify, landscapes change, climate changes, new species evolve, and eventually, Saskatchewan enters the Ice Age. So the story doesn't end with extinction. It continues. The souvenir area. And now, we've reached the souvenir area. But look, our young friends are here again. This time there are 4 of them. They are introducing themselves again to the camera. What a great way to end our museum adventure. To all 4 of you, thank you for coming back. Thank you for being part of our video. And thank you to your parents for allowing you to participate. I hope you remember this day. And I hope you continue to be curious. Maybe someday one of you will become a YouTuber. Maybe a filmmaker. Maybe a scientist. Maybe a paleontologist. Maybe an artist. Maybe something none of us can imagine yet. And that's the exciting thing about life. You don't have to know everything today. You just have to keep learning. Keep asking questions. Keep exploring. And don't limit yourselves. The world is huge. There are so many countries, so many cultures, so many museums, so many landscapes, so many stories, and so much history waiting to be discovered. Maybe someday, we'll cross paths again. And with that, our Royal Saskatchewan Museum adventure comes to an end. What an incredible journey this has been. We began with Saskatchewan's living landscapes. We explored its forests, grasslands, wetlands, buds, wildlife, and global migration routes. Then we traveled backward through geological time. We saw ancient mammals, mastodons, giant bison, mammoths, and the glacier that shaped the province. Then in part 2, we explored Indigenous history and traditions. We saw material culture, clothing, ceremonies, powwow dancing, storytelling, bison, caribou, moose, fishing, pottery, transportation, trade, treaties, and the chief Paskwa pictograph. Then we came back to the main event, Scotty, the world's largest T-Rex. We traveled into the ancient inland sea. We saw marine reptiles, dinosaurs, fossils, and the story of dinosaur extinction. And finally, we ended our journey with 4 young visitors who became an unexpected part of our video. And honestly, that's one of the things I love about traveling and making videos. You never know what is going to happen. You can plan the destination, you can plan the camera, you can plan the route, but you can't always plan the people you meet. And sometimes those unexpected moments become some of the most memorable parts of the journey. So to everyone who watched this entire Royal Saskatchewan Museum adventure, thank you.